people can get misconceptions from ghosts, and it's my feeling that there are beings who have not left the astral plane yet because they're not ready to. They're very dissatisfied with things. Maybe they were murdered. They want to find vengeance and so forth. They're not forced into the spirit world. Usually they're taken by the hand when they're ready and taken into the spirit world. I might also say that there's another element of this that's kind of unique to my own work in terms of ghosts. I believe in the duality of souls. Souls have the ability to live parallel lives, to divide their energy. A part of their energy always stays behind in the spirit world. So you could have a ghost with an energy particle who is still on Earth but have the same holographic image, if you will, of that soul's ego in the spirit world at the same time. So we never stop learning, and we never actually are totally disconnected from the spirit world. Soul groups are one of the most interesting aspects of my work. The reason for this is that people who I take into their soul group are able to tell me their level of advancement based on how the others are doing in their group as well as themselves. This gives me a much broader perspective as to where this individual is in terms of development. There are, in every soul group, a variety of personalities. You have courageous souls, you have meek souls, you have passive souls, you have souls who are very unselfish, those that are a bit more self-centered. You have souls that are quiet and contemplative, and those that are jokesters. So, from that information, I'm able to determine psychologically a lot about the type of group that my client comes from and what I might be able to do to help them in terms of their life lessons and purpose. But it's fascinating, too, from another standpoint, because we don't all progress in the same, at the same speed, in the same way, in the same areas. I like to point out that I had one man that took him between 4,000 and 5,000 years to conquer jealousy. He is not a jealous person in this life. He's intolerant as hell, and that's what he's working on now, but he's not jealous. And so that was his particular difficult hurdle to get over. And yet there are people in his soul group that were always very tolerant, and they have tried to help him between lives. So this is what I mean about rates of progression. And yet I find that the whole soul group pretty generally belongs in a certain niche as far as development, and they're all going to kind of move forward together. Some a little faster than others. Others will be a little slower. But essentially, they're all at about the same level. Essentially, in the beginning of our many, many existences, it's about learning lessons. It's about improving, understanding where we are in terms of our development and where we need to go. And the reason that that's such an important question is that many, many people that I work with incarnate on other worlds and are in other dimensions besides Earth. Earth has a particular difficulty in that we have amnesia. Our human minds set up an amnesic block when we come into this world so that we, in fact, don't have any knowledge that we can recall readily about the spirit world or our spirit guides. Interestingly enough, it's not so true with young children. You see a little boy or girl playing in a sandbox, 1 year old, 2 years old, and they're having these imaginary playmates, which may not be so imaginary. But by the time they're in the first grade in school, we've pretty much knocked all that out of them, and so, that amnesic block is pretty much set. And so they don't remember themselves as spirits, and they don't remember their friends in the spirit world as spirits. But what's interesting is that it is a planet, Earth is, of self-discovery. The idea is that by not knowing the answers to the test questions before you come in, you solve these problems yourself in your own way, in your own time, and in your own environment, and in your own body. Not to say that we don't have genetic problems. There are those who select bodies who do have problems with aggressive behavior. Maybe they have a chemical imbalance that causes other behavioral problems that they need to overcome in order to achieve the lessons for which they came through to accomplish on Earth. And I'd like to point out that it's by design. Everyone in every body has selected that body. They knew in advance what the body was going to be like to a certain extent, and they chose that body with the help of their guides in order to achieve certain lessons. But these same folks can also incarnate on other planets where there is no amnesia. They can be flying creatures. They could be undersea creatures who are very intelligent. They could be interdimensional shadows. They can be flames. They can be water or gas-like creatures. There are all different ways in which we can progress and learn and understand about who we really are and the power of our energy. Earth is only one school. For me, it's difficult to say the word God because, to be quite frank with you, I came into this as an atheist. I did not believe in God. I did not believe that there was anything after life but ultimate oblivion. And my clients kind of brought me to this kicking and screaming, brought me to the party. And it was only after years of work with them and the consistency of the reports and knowing what I do about hypnosis and doing the work and research myself that has finally brought me to the point today where I can say that I believe in a power greater than myself, a source for all life and all intelligence. So the concept of all this incarnation is to arrive at that state of perfection where we can rejoin, if you will, that source from whence we came. This is one of the most jovial parts, if I could call it that, of my work. Some people think that I spend a little too much time with this and make too light of it. I believe that it's important that everybody know that the spirit world is a place of humor and fun. It is not all business. It is not all the kinds of things I describe in some of my chapters about energy work, creation work, learning to cope with our lessons in classroom type situations. There's a lot of that. But we also have R&R, rest and recreation. And I've had many clients tell me about playing games. Some of the games I hear are like Red Rover, where sides will line up opposite each other and come crashing together as balls of energy in order to unite and blend their intelligent energy. And it's kind of like playing bumper cars. Others will talk about a dodgeball game where they will throw bolts of energy at each other, or playing tag, these kinds of things. And there's a lot more esoteric type games where they can go to other worlds where there is no human life, for example, and frolic, if you will, on that world as spirits who are not there to learn lessons but to simply have fun with each other. And they play. So once in a while when I give a speech about the fact that there is a lot of humor and play in the spirit world, some people get a little upset because they think it all should be very, very serious. And I find that that's just not true. What is interesting about talking to people who have incarnated on other worlds is that there is a similarity here. Now, it may be that those people who come to Earth also like to go to certain other worlds because what it is that appeals to them about Earth may also be appealing in terms of another kind of environment that's rather similar. For instance, when I'm talking to large audiences, I ask in the audience how many people in this audience have had dreams where they could fly. Usually 75% of them will raise their hand. Then I will say, how many of you have had dreams where you can swim underwater and breathe, and that you're a very intelligent life form? About half will do that. Then I really narrow the field down. I will ask how many have been giants in their dreams, where everything else is smaller than they are. Only a few hands. And then I might ask how many have been really tiny, tiny beings where everything else is larger than you are, and just one or two out of a group of 100 or 200 people. And what this indicates is, and our dreams do tell us an awful lot about our former experiences, is that many people who incarnate on Earth also incarnate on flying and water worlds. And so I've had a number of clients that have talked to me about being flying creatures, highly intelligent flying creatures, on other worlds and what those worlds were like. And the same for water and how they can swim deep into an ocean kind of atmosphere and how there's cities under the ocean. And they look like not whales or dolphins so much, although there's some of that, but creatures that are so strange that we see them only in mythology.